Over the years, Deadpool has been married to several characters in the Marvel Universe. Not that he ended up having a successful relationship with any of them, but that is a whole different can of worms. Now, as he has been hopping wives for quite a while, it's no surprise that over the years, he has ended up entangled with some really powerful women. He's dated the personification of death at one point, and even Satan's daughter. But we're not going to talk about them today. Today, we will talk about his sorceress wife, Queen Shiklah. Deadpool was not supposed to marry the Succubus in the first place, but as we know, love blossoms in the most unlikely of places, and that is exactly what happened. So, let's learn about Queen Shiklah, who she is, and how she ended up entangled with Deadpool in the first place. But before we get into the video, we do have one very small request. If you enjoy our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin. The origin story of Shiklah, the succubus destined for darkness. Long before man ever came to be, the world was overrun by Queen Shiklah and her family. They were rulers with control over the monster kind. Their kingdom was far and wide, but as we know, any big kingdom eventually falls, and similarly, the kingdom of Shiklah fell too. It fell because of the vampires. They first showed up as allies, but when the time was right, they launched a sneak attack on the Bannermen, igniting the flames of a war that would last for centuries on end. Shiklah's brothers fought for the realm very valiantly, I might add. However, the betrayal overwhelmed them, and soon enough, they fell too. Their bodies were never found. In the midst of this war, man first came to be as we know it, and while Shiklah's father was aware that man would bring a new age with them, he was not sure if the war would continue. Unwilling to watch another of his kids fall and die, Shiklah's father puts Shiklah to sleep. She was kept in that sarcophagus, only for her to be woken when the war was either over or when she was ready to be betrothed. That is the sarcophagus where Shiklah stayed for years on end. Hidden inside the Arabian Peninsula, the sarcophagus lay undisturbed until, of course, Deadpool showed up and took it with him to give Shiklah to Dracula. Shiklah and Deadpool's journey to matrimony against all odds. The merc with mouth has been doing odd jobs for quite a while. He always gets hired to do something, but who would have thought he would be given the job by Dracula himself? When Wade was in Europe, he was approached by a vampire who brought him back to meet with Dracula. Over a glass of the finest wine taken from some unlucky human, Dracula gave Deadpool the job of the century. He wanted Deadpool to bring him his bride. His bride was in the Arabian Peninsula, and she had not seen the sun for a long time because she was waiting for someone who would take her hand in marriage. Dracula cautioned Deadpool about the dangers of the mission, as this marriage between Dracula and his fiancée would bring the historical feud to a stop. Not everyone wants them to be married, not from Dracula's side and neither from hers, which is why this extraction mission that Wade is on is extra sensitive. Eventually, Wade found himself descending into this underground place. Wade was chosen because the mind control does not work on him, and he does not have any personal stakes to gain from this task, making him the perfect candidate to hire. Right as Wade descended, he saw the corpses of 2 men and 4 monsters surrounding the sarcophagus containing Dracula's fiancée. When Deadpool realized that these monsters who can travel through time and space are here to destroy the sarcophagus, he does his best to defeat them. By spinning both of his katanas at high speed, Deadpool was able to save the sarcophagus, but one of the monsters, in their dying breath, decided to detonate this old spider bomb, with only 1 second left on the clock. As everything came crashing down around him, Deadpool ran out of the place, dragging the sarcophagus with him. Now that he is in the Middle East, with the package secure, Deadpool had to take the package to New York and hand it over to Dracula. Assuming the best course of action would be to go through Greece, that is exactly what he did. However, what he was not expecting was to have the Minotaur, the mythological half-man, half-bull, come to life and chase him around because of the package containing great evil. But Deadpool was not going to let anyone take the package from him. So, after chasing Deadpool in a pink scooter, Minotaur ended up in a canal in a fit of rage. And with that, Minotaur was no longer a threat. But there was a bigger threat in the picture. Dracula's bride was out of her coffin. It was Queen Shiklah, the queen of the undead, and her pet dragon Bug. Queen Shiklah decided to give the man who had woken her up a kiss. Now, as she is a succubus, her kiss was meant to drain Deadpool's life force, and on the surface, it did. However, thanks to his healing abilities, he did not die. That led to a rather awkward moment between the Merc with a mouth and Queen Shiklah. While Deadpool figured out a way to deal with Queen Shiklah, unbeknownst to him, they were being followed, rather tracked, by the vampire hunter Blade. As they get on a train, Deadpool and Queen Shiklah are both ambushed by Blade. The Blade has a point. He genuinely does not believe that Dracula will stop making Shiklah his queen and bring peace to the realm. While that is correct, neither Deadpool nor Shiklah know that. In order to stop Blade, Shiklah takes on her true monster form and gives Deadpool quite the scare. However, Deadpool stops the fight because he does not want Blade to be eaten. But Blade does not appreciate that gesture. Eventually, using her succubus magic, Shiklah is able to stop Blade from slicing Deadpool's head off, and Deadpool shifts Blade into another carriage of the train and calls it a day. Here we see how fascinating Queen Shiklah finds Deadpool, owing to his ability to regenerate his wounds and also make everything light. Making a quick call to Hydra Bob, Deadpool arranges for transportation to get them back to New York City. As the couple roams in Paris, they end up in the catacombs of Paris. Walking through the catacombs, Shiklah makes it very obvious that she likes Deadpool. Shiklah's race is immortal, and it is quite understandable that she wants to be with someone who is like that. But before the couple could talk about it, the spirits of people who rest in catacombs attack them. One of them ends up possessing Deadpool, and in order to save him, Queen Shiklah uses her succubus commands as well as her soul fire to dissipate the lesser spirits after getting him out of Deadpool. She works her magic by kissing Deadpool, and when Deadpool comes to his senses, he decides to have a chat with Shiklah. Even though the whole day they spent in Paris was a very cute day, and they had fun, Deadpool did not want to deal with any more emotional issues. He has gone through enough loss, and he has a lot on his plate, he thought. With that, he made it clear to Shiklah that he wanted everything to be platonic and completely business. With that, they exited the catacombs, but the problems were not solved by themselves. Right as they got out of the catacombs, they ended up in the clutches of Hydra. Deadpool asked Hydra Bob to come and help them with transportation, but that in no way, shape, or form meant that he wanted Hydra Bob to take them hostage, but that is exactly what he did. Thanks to Bug, the dragon Shiklah befriended on the bank of River Styx, they were able to escape from their prison. Assuming that Bob was a two-timing snitch, Deadpool broke his neck when he saw Bob. However, it was actually Bob from accounting, and Hydra Bob, the one that Deadpool spoke to, walked in on them while Deadpool was breaking accounting Bob's neck. Now, before the two friends could solve their misunderstanding, there was something in the air, and it was not love. It turns out that AIM, the brilliant group of scientists who have come together to overthrow the government, has decided to hijack Hydra's submarine by using a tractor beam. However, that just meant the guys from AIM would become food for Shiklah, and that is exactly what happened. She plowed through every single representative of AIM with ease, draining their life force, and she became her truly powerful form. She even went up against libido-less artificial life because of how highly powered up she was. But when MODOK The organism with only killing in mind was deployed. Shiklah did not have much of a choice. MODOK used his tractor beam to control Shiklah, and so Deadpool threw a hand-dandy grenade to get rid of MODOK. With the grenade detonating, Deadpool had to jump out of the ship to protect Shiklah, and that is exactly what he did. All of these misadventures together make it very clear to Deadpool that he is besotted with her. But before they could talk about it, the werewolf sent by Dracula attacked them. This werewolf had a collar around his neck that controlled him, making him do Dracula's bidding, and as Deadpool was so late to deliver the bride, Dracula terminated the contract and sent the werewolf after him. Shiklah figured out the collar was the cause of the issue and helped Deadpool get the werewolf out of the collar's control. Once out of it, the werewolf told Deadpool and Shiklah about everything that was happening with Dracula, and that Shiklah's brothers were actually alive. But they were not alive for long, as Shiklah finds out from Bug. Turns out, Dracula beheaded her two brothers, and once the couple ended up in New York City on a ship, they were ready to go against Dracula. Fighting through all the goons that Dracula sent after them, these two eventually came out victorious. They decided to get married in New York City, and once they were married, Shiklah ascended the throne of Monster Metropolis as the monarch and spent all her time and energy learning about the current time and everything she had missed out on. Deadpool's dark pact with Dracula in the battle against Shiklah's reign. Every marriage eventually faces problems. However, when it comes to Wade Wilson, he ends up with those problems far quicker than most. Shiklah and Deadpool were clearly taken by one another. However, despite all of that, soon enough, Deadpool started neglecting Shiklah. This led to Shiklah treating him with a lot of disdain. She was forced to venture into the arms of other lovers because she wanted affection and love from Wade, but Wade was never around. This gross negligence from Wade fueled Shiklah's disdain and hatred towards humankind, and eventually she decided that maybe it was time for the monster kind to raise their heads and rise to power. However, this rage was simmering under a layer of control. That control broke when Shiklah's subject, Farkas, an old senile monster, was killed brutally by bystanders. Not that he had done anything. He accidentally ventured out of Monster Metropolis. This behavior towards her loyal subject pushed Shiklah into going crazy with rage, and she decided to rally her troops to take over the human world. She wanted to start off with Manhattan. Now, Manhattan was not going to be a place that would be easy to conquer. So, Shiklah turned to her older brothers. Her brothers, Amyad and Bakur, had a map that pointed to the location of a scepter that would grant its user a huge army. But before they could get to the scepter, they were beheaded by Dracula. Shiklah ended up with the map from their possession, and with the help of the map, she was able to figure out where the scepter of the Manticore was located. Once in her hand, she used the scepter to call upon a huge army of monsters, all loyal to her and extremely hard to kill. Armed with these monsters, she went out to take over Manhattan. Now, when your wife is going completely berserk in rage, as a husband, you should do something to calm her down. However, Deadpool realized that nothing that he could possibly do would help him calm her down. So, instead, he decided to turn to someone who might be able to help him more, Dracula himself. Now, Dracula had already retired after their last run with him, but at Deadpool's request, Dracula decided to join the whole crusade against Shiklah. But as soon as Dracula and Shiklah came face to face, Dracula proposed to Shiklah. As if that was not shocking enough, Shiklah accepted his proposal. They got married. Now, while this sounds very hunky-dory, Sadly, there are two problems that stemmed from this marriage. Numero uno, this marriage strained Wade and Shiklah's marriage almost instantaneously. Numero dos, in the beginning, when Dracula wanted to marry Shiklah, it was because he was under the assumption that Amyad and Bakur were dead, making Shiklah the monarch, and by marrying her, he would be able to rule the whole monster metropolis. However, now that Amyad and Bakur are truly dead and Shiklah is the monarch, she made it very clear that she does not like ruling over her subjects with force. Furthermore, on top of that, the people of Monster Metropolis no longer wanted to be under anyone's rule. They did not want the monarchy to be a thing, and soon enough, Shiklah decided that the best call of action would be to abdicate the throne. She did not like ruling by force, and her subjects were not keen on getting ruled over either. So, leaving her throne and the kingdom in the hands of her subjects, Shiklah decided to take a much-needed break. Dracula, being a better husband than Wade ever was, decided to join Shiklah because, as we mentioned before, the man was retired before he got pulled into this mess by Deadpool. With that, Shiklah and Deadpool's misadventure-filled romance comes to an end. At the end of the day, while we are sad that Wade's relationship did not work out with the Succubus sorceress, it really was because both of them were rather incompatible. The supernatural arsenal of Shiklah, the ancient succubus queen. The reason we say that Shiklah and Wade are incompatible is because, at the end of the day, Shiklah is an ancient succubus queen. She has supernatural powers in her arsenal that anyone can only dream of having. Let's take a quick look into her physiology, and you can be the judge. Shiklah is a succubus, which means she has strength, durability, and regeneration abilities that are far higher than those of any human woman. She's very good at mental manipulation. As we know, succubus are creatures who are very good at seducing people, and by using her seduction and mental manipulation abilities, Shiklah has saved herself and Wade several times. Now, even though her human skin makes her look very pretty, she has a monster form, and we see that quite often. This shape-shifting ability comes hand in hand with her succubus abilities. With only one kiss, she can easily drain anyone's life force, which makes her kiss quite deadly. She also showed a unique control over hellfire, or soulfire as she called it. She used this fire to get rid of lesser spirits when they were in the Paris catacombs. Resurrection is something that she has shown an ability in, when Deadpool makes her resurrect Spider-Man. However, she cannot do the resurrections repeatedly because they are inherently rather energy-consuming and make her weak. Anytime she uses her soulfire, she can easily hypnotize whoever that soulfire hits. Overall, Shiklah is a powerful entity, and no matter how much she wants Wade's love, at the end of the day, they are quite incompatible in their capabilities. Marvelous verdict. While their marriage did not last, Shiklah brought something new to the table when it comes to Deadpool and his adventures. Her succubus origins made Shiklah quite the interesting candidate to look into and follow the adventures of. Even though she may be a demon, at the end of the day, Shiklah is a righteous, kind-hearted queen. She feels a lot for her subjects, and when she saw that her subjects no longer wanted to be ruled under a monarchy, she too considered if she wanted to keep ruling over them. Her ability to self-reflect and introspect is something that we can hope to achieve. With so many bad things that have happened in her life, starting from her father dying in the midst of the wars, her brothers being alive and well, but killed by Dracula right before they could have met, and losing one of her most trusted subjects, Farkas, Shiklah has always pulled through. Things definitely got her down, but she always stood back up on her feet. Whatever she felt for Deadpool seemed real enough, even though it only lasted for a short amount of time. With her beauty, intelligence, and compassion, this queen is not just the queen of monsters, but definitely the queen of our hearts as well. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please do leave a thumbs up. Also, stay tuned with us as we promise to come back with more exciting content. Till then, goodbye, and thanks for watching. Have a nice one!